After finishing this video, you're going to have the best information to make the most out of your time at the Normandy Beaches.
Hey, it's Chris and Ellen, and we've been to Normandy 6 times now and go back every year.
We're thoughtful travelers who turned a crazy idea into everyday life.
Subscribe and follow along to trade your I could never for I just did. So here's our plan for you to get the most out of your time at the Normandy Beaches.
Day 1. Train, museum, castle. The easiest way to get to Normandy from Paris is a 2-hour train into Caen and then renting a car to start exploring.
Once again, that's Caen, not Caen.
While it's true, France has great public transportation, in the countryside, not so much. To avoid big bus tours and go at your own pace, rent a car.
Visit the Utah Beach Museum and then the Airborne Museum in Mere Eglise, or Mere Eglise.
The goal here is to be able to visualize what happened on D-Day while you're at the beach.
Now, it no longer looks like a war zone, and there are very few signs, so to really get the context, it's best to visit at least one museum for mental preparation.
For a great overview of the Normandy invasion as a whole, visit the Utah Beach Museum.
Utah Beach was the most significant when it comes to helping the invasion force cut through Europe. And for the Band of Brothers fans out there who want to know more about the pre-D-Day landings, go to the Airborne Museum in Mere Eglise. Behind me is the Airborne Museum. It features a lot of airborne memorabilia, of course. It's a Sherman tank. They also have the C-47, which is one of the parachute planes inside of a hangar in there. It's really, really cool to see. So if you like the Airborne, visit this museum. It's perfect. You can actually follow the past of the soldiers who landed in the town, including the guy hanging from the steeple on the church outside.
Mere Eglise is the perfect base for visiting the Normandy Beaches, and that's where you'll be staying for the next 2 nights.
And tonight you are eating at a restaurant called Auberge le John Steele. John Steele is a beautiful semi-formal restaurant in a stone room with good food, good prices, and good service, which in France means slow service.
You have the table for the evening to enjoy without being hurried. There is no turning over tables. You are their only customer for that table for that evening.
Once you finish, return to your castle for the evening. No, really. It's a castle. There's a castle behind us. Okay, technically it's called a manor or a chateau. Castles are for defense. But look at it. I mean, we stayed in this castle, or chateau, in off-season for less than the price of a Holiday Inn. It's perfectly located in range for tomorrow's D-Day sites. Speaking of which, Day 2.
Today's plan is to visit Omaha Beach, the American Cemetery, and the German Cemetery.
We are looking out at the extent of Omaha Beach.
This beach had the highest casualties and is familiar from movies like Saving Private Ryan.
It's an incredibly moving experience, standing on the beach where so many died, just to restore peace when it was ruined by one man, surrounded by those who enabled him and gave him power to take action. From here, where the sand ends all the way to where we stand here. That's how massive the scale is. Charlie sector, from the road up over to this pebbled beach here, then it becomes cliff face. This is all Charlie sector. Then from the road to the next one is Dog Green, which is what Saving Private Ryan is based off of. And then it goes into different other categories. Now, as you're walking Omaha Beach, stop in for lunch where President Eisenhower ate. After lunch, visit the American Cemetery just over the hill, and then the German Cemetery. Truth is, they were all just boys. Coming to military cemeteries as opposed to civilian cemeteries is a much different experience because all the lives here were absolutely taken.
Most of these soldiers are younger than us. It's devastating to think that they didn't even get to see the number of years that we've seen. I even found one that was 19. That's my brother's age.
Imagine each headstone as a 20-year-old kid who sacrificed 60 years of life he would have lived. Now see the second headstone. You're looking at 120 years of combined sacrifice life. Multiply that by a single row and you're looking at thousands of years. For each headstone, just the cemetery, you're looking at over 500,000 years of sacrificed life. And this is only Americans, and only from the first few days of the war. Please consider the same weight of human life lost from all countries involved. So we're at the German cemetery. Although each one of these lives lost represents a life that fought under a flag of ideals that we don't agree with, it's still important to recognize the humanity that was lost. Day 3, Pointe du Hoc and Arromanches. These World War II sites are on your way back when returning your rental car in Caen. Pointe du Hoc shows the absolute magnitude of war, better than any other site. Pointe du Hoc had German artillery aimed at Omaha and Utah Beach. The Americans scaled the cliffs here to destroy those guns. Destruction is everywhere, still. Stand inside deep craters from the Navy bombardment. Place your fingers inside bullet and grenade marks in the walls. Walk inside a German bunker to see the charred wood on the ceiling from flamethrowers. Stand exactly where history happened. After the success of D-Day, the Allies needed a way to get the tanks and supplies onto the beach to continue the liberation of France, and the only way to do that was to build a temporary floating harbor. So I don't mean to overly philosophize on the importance of this place, but this is where the Allied Expeditionary Force started, and this is where it saved democracy across the world, including the US, from fascism. So they sunk ships to calm the waters around what would be their port. All these little concrete emplacements, even way out here as well, I don't know if you can see them. This is what kept the water at bay so the boats could come in and bring these tanks on shore. Now, while it was only meant to be temporary, 76 years later, many pieces of the harbor still remain there today and do their job of calming the waters. And this right here is where the tanks would actually come onto the shore. And if you look, this is the pathway straight onto the primary road. Now, we've laid out a quick trip for you here for just war sites, but we highly recommend diving into the non-war related culture of Normandy here as well. Allow yourself 3 to 5 days for visiting Normandy. That way you don't feel rushed and you can embrace the relaxed, peace-loving culture of the people there.
Save money by visiting the beaches in the off-season. We've visited in the winter, spring, and fall and enjoyed the sights each time. Winter can be a bit wet and windy, but there are no crowds.
Now, some of the restaurants might be closer off-season, but that just means you're never eating in a tourist trap. Oh, and you can't leave Normandy before you try the 5 Cs. Find out what that means and other sights to see outside the beaches in our next video.